They walked the walls. It started just after midnight, a soft tapping on the back window, like rain that had learned rhythm. I almost didn't notice at first. Then the pattern repeated 4 knocks, pause, 3 knocks, pause, measured, deliberate. I killed the TV and listened. The house exhaled around me, timber creaking, refrigerator murmuring. Then another sound joined in, something brushing the siding, like fingertips dragging across the walls as they circled the house. I felt every hair on my arms rise. I went to the window, parting the curtain with a fingertip. Nothing. Just the faint glow of the motion light catching the fence. Then, as if responding to my curiosity, the tapping resumed on the opposite side of the house. The air felt too still, like everything outside had been turned down. No crickets, no cars, not even the wind through the trees. The world was holding its breath, waiting for me to move. I took one step backward, and the knocking stopped. I tried to laugh, to tell myself it was pipes, branches, the usual excuses people give themselves before things go wrong. Then something slammed the front door, not kicked, not hit, oppressed, hard enough to rattle the hinges without breaking them. I checked the peephole. A figure stood just beyond the porch light's reach. Pale mask, dark clothing. Still, another shape lingered by the driveway. Then a third appeared near the hedges, barely visible, only the slightest tilt of a head giving it away. They didn't move when I shouted. They didn't flinch when I turned on the floodlights. They just stood there, 3 silent watchers, perfectly spaced, as if marking corners of a triangle around my house. I shut the blinds and backed away. The next noise came from the side door, slow scraping metal, maybe a screwdriver testing the lock. Then pounding, synchronized, on the windows nearest the kitchen. A rhythm again, impossible coordination, like they could hear each other's thoughts. I called the police. No signal. My phone's bars were gone, replaced by the word searching. I tried do-I-fi. Nothing. Every light in the house flickered once, twice, then steadied, humming faintly as if electricity itself was nervous. They began to move, not rushing, but circling. I could hear footsteps crunching over leaves, soft shoes against concrete. Every few minutes, one of them would pound hard against a wall, always from a different direction, just enough to keep me guessing where they'd appear next. I hid behind the couch, breathing shallowly. The pounding became a language call and response, from window to wall to roof. Yes, roof. I heard something heavy walking directly above me, slow steps tracing the ceiling beams as dust fell from the plaster. The attic entrance creaked, but didn't open. They weren't trying to break in. They were testing every boundary, making sure I understood how surrounded I was. When I peeked through the curtain again, 7 figures now, all wearing the same featureless masks. They tilted their heads in perfect unison when I looked at them, like marionettes waiting for a cue. One raised its hand and dragged long fingers down the glass, slow enough to leave a faint fog trail. Then they all did it. Every window in reach, fogging, marking. I turned off every light, thinking darkness might hide me. It didn't. They didn't need light. Their pale faces glowed faintly, catching what little moonlight filtered through the clouds. Everywhere I looked, there was that same expressionless white oval staring back. The pounding escalated. Not just fists, now palms, shoulders, whole bodies pressing against the walls in waves. Each impact synchronized, making the air inside pulse. Cabinet doors rattled. Picture frames fell. My breath matched their rhythm before I realized I'd been breathing with them. Sometime around 2:30, they stopped all at once. The silence hit like a vacuum. My ears rang. For a full minute, nothing moved. I began to believe it was over until I heard water running somewhere. Not inside, outside, by the hose spigot under my bedroom window. I crawled to look. One of them was bending over the faucet, turning it slowly. Water spilled across the patio. Another was tracing circles through it with their fingers, patterns that looked almost deliberate. Sigils, maybe. They were marking the house. When I blinked, the water reflected their masks perfectly, 7 identical faces rippling on the surface. Then one more appeared behind them in the reflection only. 8 figures. I looked up, still 7 outside. The 8th was behind me. I spun around, swinging a lamp, heart cracking against my ribs. Nothing there. The reflection was gone too. But every window in the house now had fog prints from the inside, not the outside. Like someone had been breathing on the glass beside me all along. Hours stretched. I lost track of time. They never left. Sometimes one would vanish, only to reappear on the roof or in the garden. Sometimes I'd see them crouched beneath the windows, faces tilted upward as if listening through the glass. Around 4, exhaustion hit harder than fear. I sat in the corner of the kitchen, knife in hand, watching the silhouettes glide across the yard. The house groaned. The refrigerator door clicked open by itself. Something whispered my name through the vent. My own voice. When dawn began bleeding into the sky, they started backing away. Slow, synchronized steps into the fog. I counted as they retreated 7, 6, 5, until only one remained, standing at the edge of the driveway, watching the sunrise through its blank face. I thought that was the end, but when I stepped outside, every window was covered in fingerprints, hundreds, layered and overlapping, as though they'd been pressing their faces to the glass all night, trying to memorize the inside of my life. The police found no footprints, no damage, no evidence of anyone. They said maybe teenagers, maybe hallucination. But that night, when I turned out the lights, I saw condensation forming on the window pane again. Just one breath print, perfectly centered. And as I watched, a fingertip traced words into the fog from the outside. We remember. I moved 2 weeks later. New city, new house. Cameras everywhere. Still, every night around 3 a.m., one of the motion sensors triggers for exactly 7 minutes. The footage shows nothing but faint distortion, like heat shimmer, shaped almost, but not quite, like faces. They're patient, they're curious, and they never broke in. Because they didn't need to. They already learned everything they wanted while I watched them watch me, waiting for dawn. The silent watchers. It was 2:13 a.m. when I noticed the first one, standing across the street under a flickering lamppost, wearing a patchwork suit of mismatched fabrics. Its mask was smooth, featureless, pale as porcelain. I froze, feeling every nerve in my body tighten. I thought it would move, speak, disappear. It did none of those things. It simply watched, head tilting slightly, as if measuring me, memorizing each breath, each step I took. My pulse raced. Streetlights flickered in unnatural patterns, reflecting back shadows that didn't belong. I started walking faster, trying to convince myself it was just someone in costume. Then another appeared, and another. Across different streets, in doorways, on balconies, I had never noticed before. They didn't chase, but wherever I turned, they were there. Patient, silent, impossibly present. The city seemed to fold around them. Streets stretched. Corners looped back. Reflections in car windows, storefront glass, even puddles multiplied them endlessly. I felt observed not just by a single figure, but by dozens, shadows of shadows, watching through angles I couldn't comprehend. I ducked into a convenience store. They did not enter, but their presence filled the windows. Every reflective surface trapped a faceless gaze. I could feel them in the hum of fluorescent lights, the vibrating of the fridge compressors, in the faint shiver of air currents around me. I ran down side streets, but the city no longer obeyed logic. Alleys bent unexpectedly. Fire escapes leaned in directions they shouldn't. I looked back and saw them, always ahead, already waiting at intersections I hadn't reached yet. It wasn't speed. It was inevitability. I tried calling someone. Phone dead, messages unsent. Even the GPS glitched, showing streets that didn't exist, pathways looping impossibly. I realized they had changed the environment. Not violently, not obviously, subtly. Every corner, every reflective surface, every sound feeding their observation. Shadows became entities themselves. A streetlight's glow stretched downward, pooling into forms that mimicked my movement with a 3-second delay. Trees bent unnaturally. Windows reflected rooms that weren't there. I was being watched, measured, trained, without anyone saying a word. One night, I thought I was safe inside my apartment. A single white glove appeared on the doorstep. I didn't recognize it. When I touched it, warmth pulsed through my fingers. That same night, I saw a masked figure in the hallway reflection, staring at me from angles my eyes shouldn't perceive. They didn't chase. They didn't speak. They mirrored, anticipated, multiplied, and waited. Every sound I made, every step I took, they were already aware of it, stretching and folding the city to maximize the tension. Their patience was infinite, their observation absolute. I realized the masks weren't masks at all. The blankness was organic, stretching over their faces like skin, growing, adapting. Their clothing shifted subtly, thread by thread, stitched from fragments of people I had passed in the last weeks. My neighbors, strangers, everyone I'd ignored. I couldn't sleep. Every reflective surface whispered their presence. Mirrors multiplied them. Screens displayed dozens of figures, sometimes 3, sometimes 7, sometimes an impossible number. They were outside, inside, everywhere and nowhere, orchestrating fear through observation, not interaction. Time fractured. Streets looped back on themselves. Buildings leaned impossibly. Reflections copied movements I had not yet made. Every breath I drew, every heartbeat, fed their awareness. They were not bound by distance, logic, or reason. The city itself had become their playground, my attention the only requirement. I finally realized what they wanted. Not violence, not theft, not confrontation. They wanted recognition, to be acknowledged, to watch me notice them, to sustain themselves through fear, through patience, through the inevitability that I would see them again. If you are alone at night, take note. Shadows stretch unnaturally. Reflections may not mirror reality, they anticipate you. Streetlights flicker in rhythm with movements you haven't made. Curiosity draws attention. Observation sustains them. And when you see them, know your reflection may no longer be yours. The architects of silence. It started with a knock. Not at my door, but from the wall beside it. I froze. Silence followed, yet it wasn't empty. A faint vibration ran through the plaster, subtle, deliberate, as though the building itself had a pulse, aware of my attention. The first figure appeared in the reflection of my window. Smooth, blank face, mismatched vintage clothing, perfectly still. I blinked, and it vanished, but the shadow remained, twisting unnaturally, curling around corners and pooling like liquid. Every reflection was a trap, every surface a mirror of intent. I ventured outside. Streets stretched, buildings leaned. 3 figures appeared at the first intersection, 7 at the next. They did not walk. They did not speak. They waited, perfectly patient, bending the city around them, observing every step, every glance, every breath. Sidewalks folded, curbs rose impossibly. Streetlights flickered in patterns I could not decipher. Shadows detached from objects, stretching, pooling, forming shapes that mirrored my own movements, exaggerating them subtly, teaching me that observation was survival, and attention fed them. I tried to run. Alleys elongated, looping back onto themselves. Doors appeared mid-step leading to impossible rooms. My apartment's layout shifted subtly in memory. Walls bending inward, ceilings stretching higher than they should. The city itself was now a trap. Reflections betrayed everything. Storefront glass, puddles, polished metal surfaces, each revealed multiple figures, stretching endlessly, overlapping impossibly. My own reflection moved independently, tilting its head before I did, smiling faintly when I froze, learning, cataloging, anticipating every motion. Electronic devices failed to record reality. Phones, cameras, CCTV all showed empty streets. Yet through speakers, faint whispers layered over ambient noise, forming sentences I could barely comprehend. Watch, learn. They are aware. They observe. You belong now. Objects moved subtly, impossibly. Trash cans slid across streets. Street signs shifted mid-step. Elevator doors opened to corridors that should not exist. Shoes appeared on sidewalks that I had never walked. A cup I had broken months ago floated briefly in the air before dropping silently. Time fractured. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday blurred together. Streets repeated, buildings rearranged, reflections multiplied. The figures multiplied too, 3, 7, dozens, appearing simultaneously in impossible locations. They were everywhere and nowhere, orchestrating fear with patience I could not comprehend. I hid inside a convenience store. Shelves shifted subtly, objects appearing where they had never been. Reflections in jars, polished counters, even packaged goods displayed forms I could not see directly. Presence itself was alive, bending reality around observation, and I could not escape. One figure stepped closer. Its mask cracked, revealing a face impossibly familiar, my own. Eyes too dark, mouth frozen in a faint grin. My reflection copied every movement. Heartbeat aligned. Panic intensified, yet escape was impossible. Attention sustained them. Attention shaped reality. Neighborhood blocks folded, streets twisted, buildings leaned unnaturally. Vehicles without drivers glided past. Lights pulsed rhythmically, every sound orchestrated. Even the wind carried patterns, subtle vibrations in air currents. Elm City, my city, no longer obeyed physical rules. It obeyed them. I touched a white glove that appeared on my doorstep. Warmth pulsed through my fingers. Aware, intelligent, impossible. Dropping it did not help. When I looked up, the streets appeared empty, silent, but only temporarily. I knew they waited. Patience eternal, perfect, relentless. If you walk at night, take heed. Shadows twist unnaturally. Reflections do not mirror reality, they anticipate it. Objects move subtly. Streets fold, lights flicker with intent. Curiosity invites observation. Attention sustains them. And when you see them, you may realize your reflection is no longer yours. The watchers of every corner. It began on a Monday, ordinary and dull. I stepped out of my apartment at 1:57 a.m. The streets were empty, or so I thought. From the shadows, I noticed them. Figures in mismatched vintage clothing, smooth blank faces, standing perfectly still at intersections. The first glance was disorienting. There were 3, then 7, and dozens, impossible numbers forming patterns across city blocks. They didn't move like people. They simply existed, bending space around them. When I tried to approach, they remained perfectly aligned, untouchable. Streetlights flickered in unison, reacting to their presence. Shadows pooled unnaturally, extending beyond walls and objects, curling like liquid black smoke. I heard soft laughter echoing through alleys and abandoned storefronts, though no one was there. Every sound seemed orchestrated. I ran down a side street. When I glanced back, I realized they weren't behind me. They were ahead, waiting at every corner I could possibly reach. The city itself contorted. Buildings leaned, crosswalks twisted. Every familiar route folded into impossible geometry, looping back toward them. Cars stopped abruptly without drivers. Traffic signals blinked patterns I couldn't understand. Reflections in windows multiplied their numbers, showing forms that didn't exist in reality. My own reflection acted independently, tilting its head before I did, smiling faintly when I froze. I ducked into a subway. The escalators bent upward mid-step. Stations stretched and looped impossibly. Trains arrived that shouldn't exist. Doors opening to reveal corridors I had never seen. And always, at each platform and intersection, the figures waited, patient, silent, perfect in their observation. I attempted to document them. My camera, phone, even security footage captured only emptiness. But when I glanced at screens in real time, the figures appeared, multiplying, stretching across walls, floors, ceilings. Their presence was intelligence embedded in reality itself, responding to my attention. Sounds became unnatural. Whispers layered over ambient noise. The hum of streetlights, distant traffic, the echo of my own footsteps. They formed sentences I could barely grasp. Observe. Do not ignore. Your attention feeds us. You are part of us now. I felt my fear cataloged, measured, analyzed. Time fractured. Minutes stretched, then collapsed. I entered a familiar street and found it elongated impossibly, buildings bending inward. Doors led to rooms that couldn't exist, stairs folded back on themselves. Every space was an experiment in perception, the city a playground for their patience. I noticed subtle alterations in myself. Movements I hadn't made or recorded in reflections. Gestures I had yet to perform mirrored in glass and polished surfaces. I felt my mind bending to follow them, my awareness shaping the environment as much as it was shaped by it. One figure raised a hand, and the streetlight above pulsed, illuminating shapes in the pavement that weren't there before. Eyes, hands, symbols I could not comprehend. The patterns shifted as I moved, impossible geometry, tracing paths I could not follow. Every step was observed, measured, cataloged. I hid in a convenience store. Shelves shifted subtly, objects rearranging themselves as if alive. Reflections in jars, polished counters, and packaged goods displayed forms I could not see directly. They were everywhere and nowhere. A patient, silent intelligence bending the city around me. The whispers became commands. Move this, look there, do not speak. Subtle alterations in reality responded to compliance or hesitation. Every act of attention fed them. Every misstep trained them. I realized my fear, my observation, was sustenance. I could not escape. I could only participate. I tried returning home. Streets folded back on themselves. Signs displayed languages I could not read. Doorways appeared and vanished mid-step. Elevators descended into darkness that shouldn't exist. My apartment was no longer a sanctuary. Even the familiar became unfamiliar, twisted by their influence. I finally paused, desperate to regain control. I observed them, attempting to catalog their numbers, their positions. Impossible. The more I looked, the more they multiplied, stretching across streets, reflected endlessly in windows, mirrored in surfaces, embedded in the city itself. One figure approached closely. Its mask cracked slightly, revealing a face impossibly familiar my own, stitched together wrong, elongated, with eyes too dark and a faint, unmoving smile. I backed away, but the reflection followed, mimicking my panic, learning, observing, recording. I felt time collapse. One street, one alley, one park all simultaneously. They existed in multiple places, across multiple angles, outside the rules of physics. I realized the city itself was no longer mine. Reality had become a web of attention, and I was trapped inside. If you walk alone at night, take care. Shadows twist unnaturally. Reflections may not show what exists, but they show what is coming. Objects move subtly, as if alive. Lights flicker with intent. Curiosity invites observation. Attention sustains them. And when you see them, your reflection may no longer belong to you. The smiling ones who remember your name, they don't walk the streets, they unfold into them like shadows given bone. You never see them coming. One moment the alley is empty. The next, they're standing exactly where you are about to step. Their bodies bent at impossible angles, limbs folded inward like origami left out in the rain. They wear smiles, not stitched, not painted grown. Wide lipless gashes stretching from ear to ear, filled with too many teeth that glint like wet porcelain in the dark. Their eyes are sewn shut with black thread, yet they always know where you are, always know your name. They whisper it as you pass, not aloud, inside your skull. A voice that sounds like your mother's, your lover's, your own, except it's wrong. Slightly flat, slightly hungry. Daniel, stay a while. We've missed you, but you've never met them. You swear you haven't. Their clothes are made of skin, not human, not exactly. Tanned, stretched, and tailored from something older, something that crawled out of riverbeds before cities existed. The fabric breathes. It twitches when touched. Sometimes it whimpers. They wear it like second selves, buttoned to the throat. They appear only when you're alone and thinking of someone you've lost. That's the trigger. Grief is their doorway. The sharper the memory, the clearer they become. I saw my sister in the rain last Tuesday just for a second. And that's when the first one stepped out of a puddle, smiling, holding her hair ribbing in its teeth. They don't chase. They anticipate. If you run left, they're already waiting at the next corner, leaning against a lamppost with one arm draped over their own shoulder like a lover. If you hide, they stand outside your door and hum lullabies your grandmother used to sing songs you never told anyone about. I tried to photograph one. The image came back blurred, except for its smile crystal clear, filling the frame, teeth numbered in tiny, precise script like museum specimens. Beneath it, in my own handwriting, though I never wrote it, the caption read, "He belongs to us now. They leave gifts." A child's shoe on your windowsill. A wedding ring filled with river silt. A phone that rings once at 3:03 a.m., playing your voicemail from 10 years ago, the one where you said, "I'll always come back." They're reminding you of promises you forgot you made. People vanish after meeting them. Not taken, unmade. Their names fade from databases. Photos blur at the edges until only empty space remains where they stood. Friends forget their birthdays. Parents wake up, certain they only ever had one child. The smiling ones don't kill you. They erase you from the world's memory. Except for one person. Always one. The one who saw them last. That person remembers everything. And that's the curse. You become the archive of the lost, their final witness, their living tomb. And the smiling ones keep you alive just long enough to feel the weight of every absence. I'm that person now. I remember 7 names, 7 faces, 7 voices that call to me in dreams, begging me not to forget. But the memories are slipping, like sand through fingers, like smoke. And every time I lose one, a new smiler appears outside my window, its smile wider than the last. They speak in riddles wrapped in truth. Last week, one pressed its forehead to my bedroom glass and whispered through the pane, not with sound, but with frost that spelled words in jagged letters. "You cried for your dog when you were 6. We kept his bark. Would you like to hear it again?" I said no, but that night I heard it faint, joyful, echoing from the storm drain. I ran to it. Of course I did. That's what they count on. Love is their bait. Grief is their hook. And memory is the cage they build around your heart, one forgotten moment at a time. I found a journal in my drawer this morning. My handwriting, but I don't recall writing it. Page after page filled with names I don't recognize, crossed out in red ink. At the bottom of the last page, a single sentence. When you forget me, I become one of them. The ink was still wet. They're changing the rules. Used to be, they only took the grieving. Now they create grief. They stand outside hospitals and whisper false diagnoses into vents. They mimic voices on phone calls to say, I'm leaving you. They make you mourn what hasn't even died yet. I saw one today in broad daylight, standing in a sunlit park surrounded by children. No one else noticed. It wore a sundress stitched from baby blankets, its smile hidden behind a lace fan. But when it turned toward me, the fan dropped, and its teeth were made of tiny, polished gravestones. I tried to scream. My voice came out as a whisper, my sister's voice, the one I lost, the one I called to in the rain. The smiler tilted its head and mouthed back. She's with us now. She's happy. She smiles like we do. And for a terrible second, I believed it. That's how they win. Not with fear, with hope. They dangle the dead like carrots, and we run toward them like starving dogs. I dream of my sister every night now. She stands at the edge of a black lake, smiling, her lips stretched too wide, her eyes sewn shut with golden thread. She holds out her hand. Behind her, dozens of figures rise from the water, all smiling, all wearing faces I almost recognize. They're waiting for me to join them, to forget the world so the world will forget me, to trade memory for reunion. I haven't slept in 5 days. Every time I close my eyes, I hear them singing a chorus of voices I loved and lost, harmonizing in perfect pitch, singing the lullaby my mother sang the night she died. It's beautiful. It's unbearable. It's pulling me toward the window. Last night, I opened it. Just a crack. The air smelled of lilacs and wet earth, my mother's garden. And there, on the fire escape, sat a smiler, cradling a porcelain doll that looked exactly like me at age 5. It rocked the doll gently and whispered, "He's almost ready. He misses us so much." I didn't slam the window. I leaned out. I asked, "Is she really with you?" The smiler's smile split wider, revealing a second row of teeth behind the first. It nodded, and in that nod, I saw her, my sister, standing in the alley below, smiling up at me with lips that didn't belong to her. I know what I have to do to get her back, to end the pain. All I need to do is forget. Forget my address. Forget my birthday. Forget my own name. Let it dissolve like sugar in rain. Then they'll take me. Then I'll see her again. But if I do, who will remember the others? Who will carry the names of the 7? If I let go, they vanish forever, not just from the world, but from whatever afterlife the smilers have built from stolen love and hollowed out longing. So I write this, not as a warning, as a tether. If you find these words, read them aloud. Say the names. Keep them alive. Because the moment the last person forgets, the smiling ones will have won, and they'll turn their hunger toward you. They're outside now, not 4, not 7, dozens, standing in the street, on rooftops, in trees, all facing my window, all smiling the same terrible smile. Their whispers coil through the walls like smoke. Just let go. Just forget. We'll give you back everything you lost. My hands are steady. My breath is calm. I press my palm to the cold glass. Below, my sister waves. Her smile is beautiful. Her eyes are sewn shut with thread made of starlight. I want to go to her. God, I want to. But I won't. I'll remember. I'll carry the names until my mind breaks. And when it does, I'll carve them into my bones so even the smilers can't erase them. Let them take my face. Let them stitch my eyes. They can have my smile, but they'll never have my memory. Not while I still draw breath. Not while one soul remains who knows the truth, that love without truth is just another kind of grave. The first one is at my door now. Its knuckles tap soft polite. It knows I'm here. It knows I'm listening. It knows I'm choosing. And as I pick up the pen to write one final name my own, I hear it whisper through the keyhole in my mother's voice. It's okay, sweetheart. You can rest now. I don't answer. I keep writing, even as my lips begin to stretch, even as my eyes burn with the pull of the needle. I write, I remember. I resist, because forgetting is the real death. And I refuse to die twice.